What is something you don't have the heart to tell to your family? Story 1. I have cancer, probably the same kind that killed my mother's parents and is killing her brother. Not curable, but won't start to show for a while. And I want to enjoy what time I have left. Thing is, and here's a bonus relevant to the initial question, I wanted to enjoy most of it without them. To people asking what kind of cancer, it's colon cancer and another kind that has a complicated name that I can't remember, didn't really put into the effort because it's not the dangerous one. I can't remember all of the specifics and am not in a situation where I can easily access my records, but there are several small tumors scattered around my gut. I can't feel it. There's no real pain. But if it behaves like my family members' cancers, it'll steadily spread until it becomes a problem. I can get treatment, but there's no cure. As for a timeline, it's hard to get a solid one. But the doctor I was seeing in America said that based on my family history, anywhere from 10 to 15 years before symptoms begin to worsen, but he was careful to mention that there was no way to be sure. As a result, I think I'll delay treatment until I'm tired of having fun around the world. To answer the third popular question, that's what I plan on doing with my life. I'll probably spend the next 5 years traveling the world and working in different countries. Then once I'm burnt out, move back home and start a business. I've always been enamored with social entrepreneurship, so I intend to follow a little dream of mine. Thanks for the awards, everyone. I hope you all have a happy new year. I appreciate you all. One more thing. To the handful of people doubting me, there's not much I can do, or would even be willing to do if I were able to prove this stuff to you. I appreciate your skepticism as much as the next guy, but I just can't help you. Story 2. My brother raped me regularly when I was between 7 and 16. He was 18 years older than me and always lived in the same house when he wasn't in jail or on the street because he was an addict. He died of an overdose after one night when I was 16. He had raped me again probably 2 hours before my mom found him dead. It was probably the best thing that ever happened in my life. I felt trapped and was completely hopeless until he died, and I hate him for being such a piece of shit. My family talks about how he was before being an addict, but the only man I remember is the one who got off on hurting and humiliating me and telling me I was worthless. It makes me sick when they speak of him like he was a saint who lost his way. I tried to speak up at some point early on, but my mom and dad could never believe their firstborn was a monster. Story 3. Hi, fellow grown siblings. Now that our parents are both dead, it's become very apparent that we really have nothing in common. No real rapport. I don't feel like I really know you as people, as you won't share anything real about your lives with me. And every time I tell you personal things about my life, you give me one word, or yeah answers that make me feel like you don't give a shit what I just told you. And then the subject changes to some meaningless bullshit topic. That's the one who actually answers the phone. The other one won't even do that, or ever return a phone call. And if not for being related, I can't imagine why we would spend time together. And I also felt this uneasy detachment my whole life, but always blamed myself. And now that I am older, I realize it's not just me, or maybe not me at all. And not only that, but I kind of realize what a bunch of self-centered jerks you all have been. And I feel like I went above and beyond to make things fair, work together, help, and be supportive, while you guys just looked out for yourselves. And that hurts. It all hurts. And it hurts to realize now that I am an adult. I never knew better. I always just thought it was something I did. And I see how that set me up in life to be a people pleaser and a doormat, always trying to be a little more supportive, give a little more, while you all just looked out for yourselves. Thanks, assholes. Your sibling. Story 4. That the way they raised me was abuse, and it seriously damaged me as a person. My parents think they were great parents, especially my mom, who was the more abusive one. And it's not even that I don't have the heart to tell them because I don't want to burst their bubble. I don't have the heart to tell them because I don't have the heart to sit through an hours-long lecture/beratement on why I'm wrong and how what they did doesn't count as abuse, and I have no right to be upset. I just keep not answering or returning their phone calls and texts, but they keep obviously trying to reach out to me thinking that I'm the asshole here, and they have a right to speak to and see their daughter regardless of my feelings. Story 5. I cheated like hell to pass high school calculus. Don't get me wrong, I went to tutoring like 4 or 5 nights a week, but it just never clicked. One time, I was in a back room taking a makeup test, and this Asian exchange student walked by and was like, "Let me see that." Next thing you know, she hands it back with all the answers lightly penciled in. Anyways, even cheating as much as I did, I still only got a C, but it is one of the only things ever my dad has said he was proud of because no one in our family has ever been good enough in math to take, let alone pass, calculus. It's been like 15 years, and I'm still pretty ashamed of myself for it. Also big ups to that Asian girl if you're out there. Story 6. I've never actually felt loved. Not because they don't love me, but because I'm autistic and have a mental wall in my mind. No one in my family has ever been able to truly get through to me on an emotional level, and I don't think they ever will, because that mental wall I have is goddamn impenetrable. I'm largely indifferent to this issue, but I do feel a bit guilty about it. They tell me they love me, and I say I do too, but in reality I actually don't feel anything. The affection they give doesn't register to me. I'm autistic, ADD plus Asperger's. There's something about relationships on the whole that I can't see, something that I can't pick up on. Story 7. That I would never admit to them my financial struggles because they won't help me anyway. They've paid my sister and her husband's rent before, my brother's bills, and the new electronics for all 3 of my siblings. I was living at home taking a break from school, paying off $5,500 in loans so I could qualify for more for my next semester, and I was about to get engaged. My parents were letting me use one of their cars in the afternoons. I filled the tank, and they took the car on a road trip and brought it back nearly empty. I had another week before my next paycheck and asked for $15 for gas. They said no. My laptop broke at the start of a semester. Didn't ask. They didn't offer. Phone fell out of my purse and the purple ooze of doom showed up. Didn't ask. They didn't offer. My in-laws let me borrow their old car for a month before we moved states. My parents said they would take me off their insurance and make me pay for that 1 month. My dad almost took me off GI Bill benefits for doing a church service mission, which would deny me 2 semesters entirely paid, including rent money. Luckily he didn't, but when I used it the semester I got married, they kept the housing allowance and didn't even tell me I was getting it until the semester was over and I was already living with my husband. My parents are amazing people, and I love them to death and am so lucky, but there is a big discrepancy between how they treat me, their most successful child, and how they baby my 3 siblings, 2 of which are older by a few years. Story 8. That I'm completely, totally head over heels in love. Yeah, it might sound strange to keep something like that to myself, but allow me to explain. I left my ex 6 months ago. I never offered a great deal of explanation to my family, just that I wasn't happy and the relationship wasn't working. After having been with my ex for 15 years, having a child together, who chose to stay with his father, and having my family love my ex so very much, seemingly more than me, in some cases, I just don't think they are ready to know I'm in so deep with someone else already. And I'm afraid they'll either treat it like a rebound relationship, it absolutely is no tea, or hold it against him that we got together so soon after my previous relationship. Plus, I'm not ready for the inevitable comparison game between him and my ex. Story 9. Most of the things that happened in Afghanistan, but I think it kills me more as they act like my deployment to Afghanistan never happened. I didn't answer a lot of their questions when this started, and I couldn't answer the questions if I killed anyone. Did I touch dead bodies? Did anyone die, and how? How many terrorists did I kill? And so on. I can't bear the fact of everything I did over there. It seemed like nothing at times, but actually taking a step back and thinking about it is what kills me to this day. But they act like I didn't go anywhere and pretend that I'm completely fine. I'm a better man because I realize I can't dread those things, but only to move forward and enjoy life till I die. But man, it still bothers me to this day. I can't tell them that I might have flashbacks of those times because they threatened me in the past that they would tell my recruiter that I was hearing and seeing things, and that was 3 years ago. My siblings, steps and blood sister, understand that my stepmother of all this is being effing retard and shit. I'm glad to have my siblings and try to follow through with my problems, but I don't know what the F is up with my parents. Thank you all for reading to the end. It means a lot to even read it. You all had an amazing day, and I love each one of you. By the way, to be funny, no homo with socks on. Looking back at, I forgot to mention that my father and stepmother do this. My mother, whom is a total bitch at times, and stepfather, who did 20 years in the court, have surprisingly been understanding about it, and have shown a lot of support for my physical and mental issues that came from Afghanistan. I shouldn't really say physical so much. I dislocated my left shoulder, several fingers, and right kneecap, got cuts everywhere, and I burned plastic, shit and rubber because I was ordered to, which has F my health by a good amount. But they have been showing what opportunities I have if I were to pick them, like college, jobs, support groups for veterans and so on. I'm still in, and the groups help support veterans and learn from their experiences and compare each other and see ways to overcome them. Story 10. Just some things I need to get off my chest. I'm scared of driving. I'm 21 and don't have my driver's license. I'm sick of my mom crying every time. She calls me saying that she is always put last. She isn't put last. She doesn't stand up for herself. I don't want to buy gifts for my sister that I barely consider a sister. She is a year younger, and all she does is scream at my mom and call me names instead of talking. She thinks she is better than me because I don't have my driver's license and I don't have life experience. And last, to my friend Hope, not a part of the question, but I need to say this here or I won't say it at all. Your boyfriend is toxic, controlling, and you don't deserve to be treated like that. I didn't tell you, but I was extremely upset that you let your boyfriend control who you add on all of your social media. I'm going to miss you when my job is over. It felt so good to get out. Happy holidays, everyone. Story 11. My oldest brother planned his suicide for 3 years and took many steps during those 3 years to cause harm to coworkers, his wife, and our mother. As a teacher, he took steps to frighten and troll his 7th and 8th grade students before his planned suicide by predicting his death. I learned all of this accidentally about 8 years after his suicide. His wife would be devastated if she ever found out what and why he did what he did. She's moved on with her life, and we are still very close. Both of my parents have since passed, but I never told them because the things that my brother did were so cruel and intentionally mean that it would have caused them real pain to hear about it. They went to their graves believing that my brother was simply depressed and lashed out at others because of alcoholism and mental health issues. My brother basically took those 3 years before his death to get revenge on the people he believed were against him. Coworkers were targeted and pranked. Friends and family were on the receiving end of tirades and emotional attacks. He would tell his students that he knew when he was going to die, and framed this as a kind of spiritual, supernatural prediction, except he actually did know when he was going to die. So when it happened, all of his vague predictions came true. He would tell his students that he was going to die on a Friday. He claimed that he was going to die with a 3 in the year. He claimed that he was going to die with a day that had a 1 in it. When he died 10/31/03, a Friday, his kids were not only devastated, but also scared. Even in his death, he managed to hurt his students.